Hi everyone, Javier Martinez here from Beyond the 90 and the Football Network. Big game today. Spain and Belgium take on in a few hours. So I thought I would make a quick preview just to get my perspective on what to expect on today's game. For starters, I can't really be impartial for this game because, well, it's one of my home nations playing, España. So I'll be rooting for La Furia Española. I don't like calling them La Roja, as many people uh, have nicknamed them for years. I just saw that La Furia Española is starting to pick up pace, so I prefer that nickname over the other. So yeah, so I'm gonna stick with that. So good game. It's gonna be a. I think it's a low. A lot of people are. I feel it from within the media. There's a little bit of a, a feeling that this is going to be a, I don't want to say an easy game, but not necessarily a huge challenging game for Luis de la Fuente's men. And there's a little bit, I feel there's a little bit people thinking, okay, like this is probably the third uh, best game of the quarterfinals because the fourth is literally Argentina and Switzerland. Let's be honest about it. We don't have to go into details why. So yeah, but so obviously Spain, without question, they're heavy favorites. They have a better team, although they haven't been playing well, playing like they used to back in the Euros a few years ago. I've been really impressed with their performance. It's been obviously not a flashy performance, but it's been a good, mature performance by the group. Luis de la Fuente, who I have to admit I was in shock when they appointed him back in 2022 after the World Cup when Luis Enrique left. I tell you the truth, I thought it was so bad. I thought Spain wouldn't qualify for the Euros in 2024, and even when they qualified, I thought they would probably get knocked out round at most quarterfinal stage, and they went on to win it. So imagine, I mean, he proved me wrong. I mean, um, with such a stellar performance, how he was able to galvanize that group and play probably the best football from a a European winner in probably ever. Because I don't think while the Spain team of 2008 was great, they weren't as consistently playing so well. They weren't that consistent throughout the whole tournament. They started well in the group stage. They did well. They won all three games, but apart from the first one against Russia, which to a certain degree is a little bit misleading because there were a lot of because Russia actually could have I don't want to say equalized, but they could have easily taken the lead, and even so, if things hadn't gone their way that day, it could have been a different story. But they managed to win that game, won the three games, but they weren't necessarily uh, striking fear in the opponents, nor were they generating any real interest. But they managed to get out, beat Italy in the well, excuse me, it was the quarterfinals back then. There were 16 teams, as I used to like, as I prefer the Euros, but then they had to expand it. So, well, like I said, they beat Italy, which honestly, for me as a Spaniard, that's probably the most exciting moment I've ever experienced. Finally beating Italy, which had been, one of our a nightmare for us, and we did it on penalties. And then that really gave the team the confidence to believe that they could win. They thrashed Russia in the semifinals, and then went on to beat Germany in 2008. So sorry for deviating, but just wanted to bring it. But contrary to that, you compare that to Euro 2024. Obviously, they didn't have the same team, but they played stellar from the first game to the last. I mean, they beat Croatia, thrashed Croatia in a stellar manner, beat Italy, beat. Oh my God, I forgot who the third. Actually, forgot who that third game was against, but I remember they thrashed them. Then went on to beat Georgia, 4-1, beat Germany in Germany, France, who were the heavy favorites, and then England in the final. So really, I tip my hat off to De La Fuente. To be honest, I mean, what else? What else can I criticize him for that? So I have to give him a bit of leeway with the calls. I mean, to a certain degree, even if he makes a mistake, he's earned the right to make those mistakes. Be loyal to certain players, even though I think he's been a little bit too loyal, a lot of bringing. I think there were five players on the team who barely played the last 2 months of the season with injury. I know, apart from Lamine Yamal, who you can say he's the exception, but Nico Williams was struggling with injury, Mikel Merino struggling with injury, Fabian in injuries, Victor Munoz, who just signed for Liverpool, was also struggling. He was had injury problems, and I'm forgetting. Oh yeah, Jeremy Pino as well. There were reports that he had broken his clavicle and that he was gonna be out, but thankfully it was all thankfully it was all just a scare. So yeah, but Nico Williams is still uncertain whether he'll be fully ready. But yeah, so on paper, Belgium should be able to. Excuse me, not Belgium. Spain should be able to beat Belgium. But to be honest, I'm a bit nervous. I'm actually more nervous now against this Belgian team than I would be in a hypothetical semifinal against France. Because France, with the quality they have, um, obviously, with the quality they have, they would be more open. Spain would have more possession. They have more, so they can play their style of football. But with Belgium, this is not like we all know, this is not the golden generation, the golden Belgium generation from a few years ago, as my colleague Kari Krishnar has talked about on numerous occasions. And obviously, like I said, they don't have the quality, but what they do have this now is they have a good squad, a not so talented squad, but a good squad with players who are willing to do the dirty work, highly disciplined, and and not to mention, excuse me, that in goal they have who a guy who might arguably be one of the greatest, could arguably be, at least in my opinion, is the greatest keeper of all time. I'm also a bit biased because I'm a Madridista, so I know Courtois in and out, but he is quite literally the one for me personally. He's the best keeper I've ever seen, better than Neuer, better than Buffon, better for me, better than Khan. Even though Khan was a kid when he retired, well, teenager, but I didn't necessarily see his prime years. But Courtois is literally a guy who, and honestly, he's the one who scares me because knowing him, watching him week in and week out, Courtois is one of the few keepers in history who can literally win you a game. In 2022, when we won the Champions League, obviously Benzema took all the headlines. He was the Ballon d'Or winner, but honestly, I feel that Champions League was won by Courtois. Some of the saves he made, the level of world class saves, not just decent saves or good saves. We see a lot where keeper does a job like world class saves that you look at and you think, wow, how like I would actually be more shocked by his saves than by the goals we would score that day. So Courtois is quite literally able to hold that team together. And if Spain's not able to score and Belgium can get their chance, they have that defensive structure nowadays um, to close things off. And then not to mention one thing we're forgetting: the manager, Rudy Garcia, interestingly of Spanish descent. I was actually just watching a video of him talking about that. Apparently, his grandparents are from Andalusia, from the south. So he's of Andalusian twist. He's of Andalusian descendants. So it should be so it'll be an interesting moment for him. But as I was saying, Belgium, what they lack in the team, they gain at having a quality coach compared to the last few editions with Roberto Martinez and Dominic Tedesco. And now Belgium has a quality coach, a guy who could easily be a club manager. I'm not saying he's a world class manager, but he's a very good manager. We've seen what he's done at numerous, what he did at Roma, what he did at Olympique Lyon, what he did at Lille, and we just saw how he managed his team through the World Cup. So Belgium's a big threat. I mean, I'm not thrilled with people saying that this is going to be an easy game. No, this is a very good Belgium squad. Again, it's not the golden generation, but it's a good squad. They still have the best keeper in the world, one of the greatest of all time, in goal, and they still have good play. They have Doku, uh, arguably probably their best player, and they have a good squad. You have Lukaku who come off the bench, who could be a menace for the center backs, knowing especially for Kouachi with his height. So it'll be interesting to say. We have a few hours to go. I'll do a post game recap afterwards, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see if Spain able to go through and fight for that World Cup title, as you see in the back, or if Belgium could pull the upset and maybe go farther than many of us could either expected. So we'll see how everything goes.